Hi friends, welcome to a new academic year. You have come from 9th standard to the 10th standard of CBSE syllabus. And we have studied the basics of chemistry in the 9th standard. Here we are going to study much more about that. So from 9th standard onwards you are studying science as 3 different subjects: physics, chemistry and biology. So we give importance to chemistry here. So you have experienced a lot of changes in your 9th standard when you are coming from 8th to 9th. Similarly, when you are coming from 9th to 10th, you are going to experience a lot of changes here also. Already you have experienced a lot of changes. Mentally you are grown up. Physically also you are grown up. So some changes have been happening in your life daily. Like we respire, we intake oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So something we are taking and something else we are releasing to the atmosphere. Similarly, food, we take food and it is getting digested in our body and something else is given out as excretion. The same way, when you are keeping a pot of milk during summer season, if you are keeping it outside, what happens to that milk? Some changes have been happening to that milk. Taste has been changed. You can say that the taste of the milk is being converted to something else. What is that something else? We are getting curd from milk, right? So the taste of curd and the taste of milk, both are different. Both are different. Same way, a pan, iron pan, metallic pan, especially iron pan, you are keeping it exposed to humid air, where we have lot of water vapors in that atmosphere, humid air. What happens to that after some days or after some weeks? What happens to that iron pan? We can observe small portions, brownish colored substance will be growing in that pan. We call it as rusting of iron. A change has been happened to that metal, pure metal. So we eat food, digestion is a change. We intake oxygen, release of carbon dioxide, it's a change. So as I told, conversion of milk into curd, it's a change. Similarly, grapes, when you are keeping it for a long time, it will get sour in taste. Fermentation happens there. It is another change. Or iron pan gets rusted, another type of change. So all these changes are happening in the world around us. Daily life, in our daily life also, these changes can be observed. There are a lot of changes happening in our daily life also. So, we are going to study in the first unit of chemistry subject, changes, chemical changes especially. You remember that in your previous class, 9th standard, you have studied about 2 types of changes. One is physical change, another one is chemical change. So physical change, let it be, because we are more deeply involved in chemical changes now. That is what in the beginning itself I told that we are going to study more deeply about the chemistry subject. Whatever you studied last year, it was just the basics of chemistry, and keep in mind whatever you have studied last year, so that this year it will be very easy for you to score full mark in chemistry and understand each and every concept. So we are going to talk about chemical changes here. So directly we will move on to the first chapter, chemical reactions and equations. So whatever we have been discussing so far, changes happening in our daily life, we were just explaining it by words. We were just explaining it by words. We don't know whether any chemical changes have been happened there, but we experienced the color change have been happened, or the taste have been changed. So some parameters have been changed there. Parameters have been changed. So we consider it as change. We consider it under the category changes have been happened there. So what about the chemical changes or chemical reactions? A chemical, it is getting converted into something other or some other chemical through some reactions. You know what is reaction? When two or more chemicals are combining together, a new substance is formed. The combining substances are called as reactants. When reactants are combined together, we get products. We get products. So there will be some conditions. As I told, during the digestion process, hydrochloric acid is being produced in our stomach for digestion process. So that is a condition there. In the presence of an acid, digestion is carried out in our stomach. So as I told, rusting of iron tawa, that is in the presence of water vapor. Another condition there. So some conditions we can apply here. So we represent conditions also. You are going to study more about these chemical reactions in your higher classes. So this is just the beginning of chemical reactions. You are going to study about some different types of chemical reactions, which is so very basic of chemistry. Okay. So reactants, two or more substances, or what are the substances which is possible or which is in a state to combine together, they are called as reactants. And what we are getting after that reaction, that is called as product. Sometimes we get one product, sometimes we get more than one product, two products, three products. Depends on the reaction, depends on the condition, depends on the reacting species or reacting substances, everything. How many reacting substances you are adding, depending on that you are getting it. So we will take a simple example for the chemical reaction. As given in your textbook, magnesium. Magnesium is usually represented as Mg, magnesium. Magnesium ribbon, very small magnesium ribbon you take, hold it with tongs and bring it near the flame. You can experience that magnesium ribbon will burn. Magnesium ribbon will burn with the flame, and at the bottom of that or near to that or during that burning process you can see white powder will be formed. White colored powder will be formed. So white color powder is formed. Magnesium ribbon is not white color. Okay, but when you are getting after burning process, what you are getting is a white colored powder. So we are sure that some chemical changes have been happened there. Some chemical changes have been happened because magnesium is being converted into magnesium powder. What can be the product formed there? Or how you are going to determine which type of product is formed? In just 2 minutes back I said you that when two or more substances are combining, reactants are combining, we are getting one or more than one products. But here I was telling only about magnesium. Then is it the flame? Flame is a second substance. Can we call flame as a substance reacting species? No. Flame can be considered under the condition. So we are supplying flame, or we are supplying heat. We are supplying heat or flame for that particular reaction. As we all know that in the atmosphere, oxygen is present. Oxygen. Oxygen is always represented as O. It exists as a molecule, so O2, oxygen molecule. Oxygen is present in the atmosphere. That is why we respire. We respire continuously due to this oxygen. So, along with magnesium, oxygen is also added. Oxygen is also added. So, oxygen is helping the magnesium to burn in the presence of flame. In the presence of flame. So, we will write that, use word equation. We will call it as word equation. We will represent this chemical change using word equation. So, magnesium is reacted with oxygen in presence of flame or heat, and we are getting magnesium oxide. We are getting magnesium oxide. See, here magnesium is in solid state. Oxygen is in gaseous state, gas. It is existing as gas in the atmosphere. Magnesium we have already told that. Magnesium ribbon you are taking, and magnesium oxide you are getting. Magnesium oxide, white colored substance. See, the gas, and this is a solid material, and what we are getting is solid. So this gas also is being converted into solid. That means change in the state have been occurred. Sometimes change in the color also occurred here. Color has been changed. The property of the substance have been changed. The property of magnesium is not similar to that of the property of magnesium oxide. Property of oxygen is not similar to that of that magnesium oxide. So properties have been changed. Color has been changed. State of one of the reactants have been changed. So many things like that. So a chemical reaction or a chemical change we can represent as the change in taste or color or property, and sometimes we can experience temperature also. Temperature also. Either temperature will be produced or temperature will be absorbed during that chemical reaction. So even that can be included during the chemical change. Okay. So this has been happened here. Solid magnesium is combined with gaseous oxygen to produce a solid magnesium oxide, and the color of magnesium and oxygen is usually, obviously it is colorless gas. If it has color, we can see oxygen in the atmosphere, but oxygen is colorless gas. So this gas is being converted into solid substance, white powder, and this solid is being converted into white powder, solid substance. So this is a solid wire or a sheet is being converted into powder. So state have been changed. The physical state have been changed. Its color has been changed. Property has been changed. There is an involvement of temperature also during this reaction. So this is what we call it as word equation. Word equation, a representation of a chemical change in words. Representation of chemical change in words is called as word equation. So that is what we have represented here. Okay. Now, being a chemist or being a chemistry student, you are not supposed to represent a chemical change using word equation. You can represent it, but the standard way of representing a chemical change is not word equation, it is skeletal equation, we will say. Skeletal equation. Like I have already told you that magnesium representation of the magnesium element in magnesium is Mg and oxygen is represented as O. Okay, so now magnesium plus oxygen gives MgO. MgO. Magnesium oxide is formed. Okay. So this is white in color, as I told, solid. This is gas, and this is also solid. So this state, the physical state, is represented in brackets. Solid is represented as S, small letter S, liquid, small letter L, and gas, small letter G. As a subscript there, after the symbol of the element, as a subscript in bracket, the physical state have been represented. You understand? The physical state have been represented as a subscript after the symbol of the element in a chemical reaction. So this is called as representation of a chemical reaction, and it is known as skeletal equation. Skeletal equation. Similarly, we will talk about sodium chloride. Sodium hydroxide. You know, sodium hydroxide is a base. And hydrochloric acid, HCl. You take sodium hydroxide in the liquid state, aqueous sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is a solid substance. It is dissolved in water to prepare sodium hydroxide liquid. And hydrochloric acid also in liquid state. What is the product here? Two reactants. These two reactants are in liquid state. The product will be sodium chloride plus H2O. So we will get both in liquid state here also. So all these reactants, as well as here we are getting, remember that I have told you that we can get more than one product. Here we are getting two products. Both are in liquid state. Here we are getting two reactants. We have two reactants and we are getting two products. Here we have two reactants but one product. A change in the state, physical state. But here both the reactants as well as the products are in the same physical state, occurring in the same physical state as liquid. So sodium hydroxide reacts with hydrochloric acid to produce sodium chloride and water. So both are in liquid form. Aqueous sodium chloride is being produced. So this is the skeletal equation representing the formation of sodium chloride in water when it is reacted, or when sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid is being reacted. So now you can observe one more thing here. See here, in the first equation where magnesium is getting converted into magnesium oxide when it is burnt in the presence of oxygen, here we have one magnesium and two oxygen. But when we are getting the product, we have one magnesium. Okay, it is equal to that of the magnesium which is present in the reactant, but oxygen is only one. What about the remaining oxygen? So in that case, we may have to go for balancing of chemical equation. How to balance the chemical equation? Why we have to balance the chemical equation? In your previous class you have studied, what you have studied? Mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. One form can be transferred into another form, but we cannot create anything new, or we cannot destroy anything. One form is getting converted to another form, isn't it? See here also, sodium hydroxide and HCl, both are getting converted into sodium chloride and water. We are not creating extra mass, but we are converting whatever mass we have into another material. That's it. So about the balancing a chemical equation we will study in the next class. So hope that you understood the basic concept of a chemical change and the chemical reaction. So if you have any kind of queries, please comment at the bottom of this video. Thank you.